Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sick, and today I'm gonna do another one of the going over some code sort of thing videos. People seem to get a kick out of this, and it's actually an interesting way to hear myself and how I think about the code that I'm looking at when I rewatch it, because I'll actually learn something from myself, either something that in the moment I thought incorrectly the more I thought about it, or just the way that I explain it may be different than how I understand it, and kind of reconciling those. Anyway, so what I'm getting at is it's just as useful for me as it hopefully is for you. But I'm doing a rewrite on TSTrophy. This is something that what are you doing, camera? I'm not fuzzy in real life. Okay. This is something that I had planned on doing for a long time. The original setup of TSTrophy is a little rough, and I'll go into some of the reasons why it's a little rough, and then I'll go into kind of what my solution for those problems and challenges are currently. Now, I haven't submitted any of this, hasn't gone through code review. Very likely stuff that I submit is going to end up getting changed also, and if that's the case, maybe we'll do kind of a follow-up. We'll do just a little series on this TSTrophy thing and kind of see where we're at. So let's jump into this. So MQ2TSTrophy is my plugin that swaps your trade skill items depending on which trade skill container you have open. This is only for environmental containers, so it's not going to do anything if you open up a deluxe sewn kit or anything in your bags. It's only environmental stuff, so which that does include guild things, but not stuff in your bags. Okay, so you know, Chat with His Name originally helped me on this, and so that's why it's MQ2TSTrophy by Sick and Chat with His Name, RedGuide's exclusive. Equipping your trade skill trophies when you open environmental containers. Plugin will see what you already have in your ammo slot, then swap out the correct trophy for the environmental container you have open, and then leave the environmental window. It'll swap back to what you already have equipped. Now, this is already wrong. This was changed a while ago. It does not swap anything back, so that's already wrong, so that'll need to be updated. And just doing a quick glance of the code, let's see, it's 593 lines. I'm not going to go over every single line, but I just want to point out a few things. So first thing that pops up to me when I look at this is I have a bunch of global stuff defined. Now, these might be necessary, but I'd like to get rid of these if I can. I'm storing all of these like content pointers, which are like EQ stuff, right? I don't really want to store them. That's where I was having some crashes at before. And the way that I solved this in the short term was just doing, updating my stuff all the time. So it would help solve if somebody's item changed, evolved, or they put it in their bank and then they try to use it, they would explode. So I kind of had a stopgap for that already in here, but we can eliminate that. There's no real reason to store the actual thing. We can just look to see if we have anything that matches what we're looking for. So that was a note. Some of these can be adjusted. This is super small, but container name 128. So this is a character array. So this is storing each letter in an array. It's not going to be 128. It's probably going to be 64. I'd have to check to see if I already changed it in my other version. The type members, those are pretty much going to be the same. I'm going to remove the numbers here. Numbers are just I mean, I don't need it to be a specific number, so I'm just going to take that out. These notes in here were for me, but they're not really handy for anything because we don't need to know by looking at type member jewelry that it's a string. We would see that when we actually look at the get member, what it's returning. So I'm probably going to remove those notes just because they're unnecessary. This stuff will all change. So if you see here, we're getting item from contents, alchemy trophy name, if alchemy trophy is a thing. So if you remember, I talked about it here. So we have a contents pointer, alchemist trophy. We initialize it to 0. That should actually be null because it's a pointer. It should be null pointer and not 0. But anyway, so it's initialized to not a thing. And then we say, if it is a thing, get the item from the contents and then get its name. that's like a whole bunch of extra steps where we can just say, hey, do we have this thing by name? And if we do, what name is it? That was something I knew I needed to do a long time ago, but I'm just getting around to it now. Keep going through this list. It's fine. On incoming chat, we have this thing that if the trophy evolves, we update the trophies, and that's if you remember a little bit ago, I mentioned about the, since we're storing the contents, if the contents change, we need to update what we think the contents are. Otherwise, we might have issues. It might not be the thing anymore. We might not have the thing. We might have a new thing. So this will actually be resolved with the new way we're doing it anyway. So hop in here. We got our world container check. So that's going to check to see if we're in a world container. And then if it's found, we have this whole bunch of stuff. So this is something that I wanted to clean up. And then again, we have these update trophies, and if you see here, I'm setting these to null pointer when we update them. So basically, it kind of zeroes it out. I don't really know a better way to phrase it. That's not a correct phrase for it, but that's how I think of it. Like I want to null the shit out, and then kind of start from scratch. So that's what I did here. And I'm doing this wacky thing where I have a vector of strings, an item list, and then I'm doing an update trophy group. The address of alchemist trophy, called alchemy, and this is unnecessary for the way that this plugin is working, and this may be fine for other stuff, but it's unnecessary for what I'm doing here. And then we have contents double pointer pp group, update trophy pp group if pp group break. Now, when I went originally through code review, Brainiac asked me several times, why are you using content pointers? Or, I'm sorry, double pointers here, and I don't know. I didn't know then, and I don't know now why I was doing it that way. It's just kind of things that developed as I was making it, and people giving me help trying to solve problems that I had without really understanding what I was doing. So as we go down here, we see more of these double pointers, and we're passing around double pointers to contents. Again, it just sounds bad when it can be done much more simply. And then there's little stuff like this. This could be like a constant. We can constant that somewhere, and then instead of having to retype that, we can just call that. And I'll show you there. I'll show you that later. And then just there's some extra stuff. We're getting item from contents. We're getting an item from contents find in the slot, and then we're doing a comparison on the two. Cursor find slot. Now I'm actually missing secondary here. So ammo range main hand secondary. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do the rewrite now, Jande, shout out to Jande, was asking if we can stop swapping the items if they're already equipped. So if he puts it in his primary slot, don't swap it to the ammo slot because that's just annoying and stupid. And I agree, that is annoying and stupid. So that is what the current code looks like, and we're going to swap over, boom, into what I have now. So this plugin will see if you have a trophy that matches the environmental container you have open. If it is not equipped, it will equip it. It does not swap back. Easy. We're going to constant string plugin name, and we're going to do this thing here. And actually, that is whole. No, that's right, because we've got the brackets. Let's see, is this going to show here? Plugin MQ2TSTrophy. Loaded. Let me. Boom. Yeah. Okay, so MacroQuest. Let me move this here. Okay, so that little /R is for the brackets for MQ2TSTrophy. So that's why that's there. Then the dot, the double colons, and then the space, and then the message. So this just makes it easier later. When I come down and do some write-outs here, you can see I have plugin message. We've got to cast it to a C string. I could have probably stored it as a character array, but I really want to try to use strings wherever I can, just because I feel like long-term string familiarity and string usage and comfort level with strings and the things you can and cannot do with them is going to be more useful to me than character arrays. But anyway, so we do plugin name, we do a C string, and %s that for the write chat f, which is what writes it out into the chat. So that's good. That works great. We changed a lot of the functions. I have, you know, I'm passing strings of stuff. Hopefully it's a little bit more clear by name. That's another thing I wanted to do. Like this is std string trophy check by type. Hopefully that you can read that and say, okay, we're checking trophy by type, and then we're passing it an std string of a trophy type. Now, if I go to this definition, I'm sorry, if I, okay, trophy check type. Didn't go to definition, feels bad. Okay, so I'm down here. Trophy check by type. I'm passing it a string, and we're getting a, we're creating a variable here, trophy name, and then we're cycling through this map. Whoa! Now we're getting into shit that wasn't in the original thing. We're cycling through this map at whatever matches with trophy type, and then we're finding that item. And find item by name, we're passing the be exact. We want the exact match, not a partial match. And then we're returning the trophy name if we have it. Otherwise, we're returning nothing, which would then be that we don't have it. So the map thing down here, this is pretty sweet. So I have a std map, constant string. This thing here is constant, and a vector of strings. Now there were reasons why some of this stuff isn't constant. I had to remove constant because of other stuff we're doing later with some of the checks that require things that can't be constant, and it's just some of the challenges with MacroQuest. There might be ways to do it, but I usually start with constanting everything and then backtracking, and this is where I got to the point where I had to backtrack stuff. But so instead of the old way, where here I have, if we scroll down, you see here for Alchemist Trophy, for alchemy, I'm doing this item list vector of strings, right? So in this, this is still a vector of strings right here. So this is the same thing, but it's cleaner. It's in a map, so we can reference, hey, alchemy. I want to look here, and then what's in the vector after the string alchemy. And so that's what happens here. We do trophy check by type. We pass it by type. So alchemy, baking, brewing, and then we create a variable trophy name, and then we say, hey, do we have, you know, do we have a string that is in this that matches this? And then when it gets, for each one of these, it's going to say, hey, do we have the item? And it's set up to where it's going to check the best item first. So for alchemy, it checks the Mundungu medicine stick first, and it would check the beginner alchemist trophy last. So you have the best, it's going to find the first one, and then boom, we have it. Boom, we're returning the trophy name. We're returning Mundungu medicine stick, and then it just works like that for everything else. And we have fishing here last. Now, for anybody paying attention, you're probably saying, okay, well, what are you doing for, you know, what actually happens with it? Okay. So we're going to, a bunch of stuff was removed, like I said before, right? We're on incoming chat, we removed that. We don't need the update disks, or excuse me, the update trophy function anymore. On pulse with a delay of, a pulse delay of 20. We're still saying, give me a world container check. If we peek this def, this world container check checks world containers like ground, spawn, crafting, benches, tables, etc. It's gonna say, hey, do we have a crafting window open, a world container object, is it open? And if it is, then we have one, and we're going to change this global to container found. The reason why that's a global is because we're using that in the type member for you know, matches. If we have a container, and we're using that later on in this this pulse check. That you might be able to clean that up or whatever, but that's just where I'm at now. So at the top of this, I have if step is 3, and I have something on my inventory, auto inventory, and then go to step 4. The steps is probably something I can clean up elsewhere, but it functions really well, and it's I guess seeing step 3 and step 4 early in here, it doesn't really make it super readable. So maybe that's something I want to revisit. But so I go in here and I say if container is found. If you remember, we did that world container check, and if we found a container that's a world container, we're going to set this to this bool value to true. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to say if string container alchemy table. Now the reason why we're doing a string here on the character array and the constant character alchemy table is string will allow us to do a partial match. So string allows us to do, you know, guild alchemy table, or here, like, you know, guild oven, guild mixing bowl. You know, if it was 6 super duper awesome cool guy only, no Highlander brewing barrel, the string would say, yeah, we're in a brewing barrel, and you know, match the world container, so we're good to go. So after that, I'm saying the type is going to be alchemy, and then I'm going to come down here. If type is not empty, then I'm going to say, you know, need trophy equals trophy check by type. So the type is this, so tinkering. So trophy check by type, if you remember, we looked at that function before. It's going to pass and say tinkering. What am I looking at by tinkering? If I have one, it's going to return back that to this string. If that string is not empty, meaning it has a word, it has a thing, then I'm going to check, is it equipped? The equipped changed a little bit. Now, if you remember before, checking for the equipped was a whole bunch of stuff. Where is it? We did a find current slot, and we did all this, and we slapped some stuff around, and blah, blah, blah. So I changed it into a function. So if you notice here, again, we have another thing, another weird a range-based loop. So we have for auto address of I. So I is just a constant int reference to I. I don't understand exactly why you end up making things that look like this in this, but whatever. That's how you're supposed to do these things, I guess. I should probably look into that a little bit more so I have a deeper understanding. And then we're gonna cycle through this V slot. Now I defined this V slot up here. Where is it? V slot. So I put a to-do node in here. I really don't want to magic number these. Okay. So I made a vector of ints called V slot. And so basically this is just a vector. It's a container of integers. And in that container is going to have the integer 22, 11, 13, and 14. Now, ideally, this would look something like this. My note in here, inventory slot, double colon, ammo, inventory slot, double colon, ranged, main hand, offhand. Now, ideally, those would be an enumerated list somewhere. I don't really want to put that enumerated list in here because that should be elsewhere. I don't want to just put just the 4 items. We should have a kind of universal MacroQuest 2 inventory slot .h header file that has that enumerated list. So I sent that to Mule. I think I tried adding it in here, and did I just slap it in here for fun? Yeah, slap it in here for fun. So constant enumerated list, inventory slot, charm, left ear, head, face, right ear, neck, blah, 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 blah. So these are all the slots. So slot 0 is charm, and if we go in game, let me go back to EverQuest. We go in game, I mouse over my charm slot 0. Primary 13, secondary 14, 11, and 22. So back to VS, and we'll get out of that. And so we have here 22, 11, 13, and 14. Is that what we said? 13, 14, 11, and 22. Yes, that's correct. Anyhow, so what that's doing now with that V slot is we're saying, is it equipped? Trophy. We're passing the trophy, so we want to say, is this trophy equipped? And we're going to say, we're going to iterate through the V slot, which is those 4 items, the ammo, range, primary, secondary, and we're going to say, find item by slot, that slot, so it's by number. Unfortunately, there's nothing that says like there's no function in main that says find item slot by ID or name, which would take an item and then return what slot it's in. So that's something that Knightley said it would probably be better to do that comparison that way, saying you know, what slot is it in? Does that slot match one of the slots in the V slot? Then do that. So since I can't do that, and I try to avoid, you know, I try to use the tools that are available when possible, so I don't have to try and get stuff submitted to then do updates to the stuff that I'm working with. I just did, so we're going to say p contents p item. We're going to find item by slot, which returns a p contents. We're going to check that thing. So if p item is the thing and it exists, then we're going to get the item 2 name from it. And we're going to compare that to trophy. So if those are equal, then we have it equipped. And otherwise, it's going to return equipped down here. Well, it returns equipped, so equipped equals true, and then we're going to return true. Otherwise, since it defaulted to false, we're going to return it to false. Now, we might be able to do something where the prototype for this had the secondary thing here where, you know, we false it in there, but we're not passing anything. So that would probably be a bad design choice, and it's probably best to just leave it defined in here instead of in the prototype, since we're not passing anything. Okay, so now we're at the point where we're saying, is it equipped? So we have the type, we're checking it, we're saying, is it not empty? Is the trophy equipped? And then we're saying if it matches, if B matches equals false, this is because it's not equipped right now, so we're just changing that to false. Anytime we're reached this point, this global here is false. And then we're saying if type equals fishing, then equip the trophy in main hand. Now, if you remember, I said before that I defaulted the equip trophy to the ammo slot. So for most of the items, we don't have to specify what slot it's going to go into. But for the fishing trophy, because it only goes in primary in your main hand slot, as far as EQ is concerned, we're going to say that it needs to go in your main hand. So it's going to end up only checking if it's in the main hand, or excuse me, it's only going to try and equip it in the main hand if it's not otherwise equipped. And if it's not fishing, then it's going to equip the trophy. And then, so if this and this are not a thing, then matches are true. So which means that actually might need to be cleaned up, right? Because need trophy could be empty. No, that's right. Because if these are not a thing, then I don't have something that matches the container, and I'm going to slap it to false. That is correct. And then we're going to get down here. If istep equals 4, then istep is 1. Now, outside of container found, so I mouse over this dotted line, it'll show me the actual, like, call part, the little nesty bit that goes in here. Actually, what would you call that? The, I don't know, just the line that goes into this bit. What the hell what do you call that? See, this is what I mean earlier about how this is useful for me, because explaining it helps me articulate and think about how I think about things. And, you know, I clearly can think in my brain, you know, you have your if statement for your scope, and this is like in the scope of this if statement, but I don't know what you would call this line. So there may not be a line, a name, or maybe something really simple and I'm overthinking it. Anyway, so we're saying if the container is found, do all that stuff. Else, if istep is greater than 1, then istep equals 1. Now this solves another problem that we had, where if you swapped out of your container, like middle swapping stuff, sometimes you could get, like, I call it gummed up. You can get gummed up, and now your step is wrong. And I had it changing your step on pulse, on zoned up here, which is, again, you know, on zoned, update the trophies, and step equals 1. That's a little overkill. If we don't have a container, and our step is greater than 1, we should reset step to 1 because we don't have a container. We shouldn't be trying to do anything, and we shouldn't get stuck doing stuff if we don't have anything to do. So that's going to have that happen. And that's kind of it. We removed the update trophies on zone because it's unnecessary, because we do that, we check every time we open the thing and our stuff doesn't match. And our equip trophy is a little bit different. Let's compare the two over here. Our old so it was originally called swap slot, but I wanted to be a little bit more specific that we're equipping trophy. And here we have if double pointer trophy, item info, pointer, p item slot, this and that matches a whole bunch of shit, steps, stuff, things. And it's a little bit cleaner now. So we're passing this the trophy, and the slot's defaulted to ammo except for the fishing item. Then we're passing the main hand. And so actually, why isn't that auto reference? BCAA plugin, MQ2TSTrophy, upload. Is there a reason why that didn't work? Now I broke something. What did I do? Oh no, I broke everything. Okay, so let's see. Undeclared identifier. Trophy name reference must be initialized. Well, I don't know what I did. Yeah, auto doesn't deduce references, possible unintended copies, so we need this to do this. Did I end up moving something out of order? Return cannot convert from int. What? This is going to be something really simple that you get stuck on, and it's just part of learning. I should not be stuck at wherever this is. This was building fine just a few minutes ago, and I clearly screwed something up. So, I don't know what that is, and we need to find out. So, let's try and build again, get these warnings. M trophies undeclared identifier. Oh, I know what it is. Because I moved this stuff around. So, bang. Okay. So, see, that's stuff that only comes with experience. Those messages were not very clear on what the immediate answer was, right? And probably any remotely competent programmer would have instantly known that, okay, well, it says that your stuff is not identified or initialized, so something's wrong somewhere. but it didn't immediately jump out to me that if I don't prototype that this map is a thing up at the top, up here, anywhere that uses it needs to be after the map. Otherwise, the map doesn't exist yet when it tries to activate it. So I had originally slapped the map all the way, or excuse me, I wanted to slap the map all the way down at the bottom. And I wanted to slap the map all the way down at the bottom. And so in cleaning up, I relocated that to this function above that, but it has no idea what a MTrophies is because it doesn't exist yet. So, easy peasy. So for anybody at home sitting and nail biting like, oh, this guy's an idiot. It's just move the thing. Like, I got it. It's all right. I'm sitting here like, God damn it. I'm like, do I be a shitbag and just edit that out, or do I leave it in there? But, I mean, that's part of learning. I don't have a problem with being wrong. Get to learn from it, so. Anyway, so that's where we're at with this. There might be some more stuff. I'm interested in what code review we'll do. I was working on this yesterday for probably about 12 hours. And, so let's check this up here first. So if you remember, the get members were doing that other check. So now I have to check trophy type and a destination pointer, and I have to reference at 0 the trophy type, and then it returns. And so hopefully that's correct. Those all function. And so this is what it looks like now. And again, this is, Jande hated that we were swapping stuff over. So here, originally, if I had my clay fingers loop in my primary slot, and it wasn't in my ammo slot, I would swap it. But now, if I go to open pottery and I have it equipped, then it doesn't swap anything. Now, if I don't have it equipped, it's gonna put it in my ammo slot. Oh, plugins on. I was like, don't fucking tell me it doesn't work. All right, so the plugin has to be loaded to work. In case you guys didn't know that, that's a pro tip. All right. So anyway, so it's not equipped anywhere, and now it's going to equip it in my my ammo slot. Okay. Now, if I already have it equipped, when I open this, it's not going to do anything because I already have it equipped. So if I swap to my regular stuff real quick, it's going to say like, hey, we need to put this back in your shit because you no longer have it. So easy peasy. That solves that problem for Jande. And I didn't want to do a small fix just to fix that, knowing that I still needed to do this major overhaul, get rid of all the double pointers, get rid of all the globals where I'm storing all of the contents. Like walking around with all these like contents that could explode at any moment, and like we're just like, no, just null it. We're not sure what to do with it. Just null it. Null pointer this shit. And this helps eliminate that because now we're not walking around with a bunch of. I don't want to say volatile because there is a thing in C++ with like volatile blah. So I don't mean it in those terms, but I mean volatile as in it could explode at any moment, and some programmers don't have a sense of humor, so can't use words because they might be like, that's not actually it, sick. That's not it. It's a joke, bro. Anyway, again, I want to give another just huge shout out to Nightly. Nightly helps me out a ton, going through what I'm doing, going through questions, and some semi-advanced programming stuff, and then some just super absolute basic stuff. And I can only continually commend his level of patience for that. I feel like, he's never said this, but I feel like it must be semi-frustrating when you're talking with somebody about programming. You may be talking about something pretty complicated, and the person that you're trying to help with this is missing a bunch of really basic, fundamental, baseline stuff, and they have no clue what you're talking about. Because you're trying to explain something here, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's easy. You just use these really basic things and slap them together, and then you got a cake. And I'm like, I don't know what an egg is. What the fuck's an egg? Flour? Like, what's a flour? I just want to make the cake. And you gotta walk before you can run kind of situation. So, but it's getting easier. I'm really enjoying programming, and it's getting easier. And hopefully, I only learn from my mistakes, and hopefully, I learn from code review, and you know, hopefully we go from there. Anyhow, so I'm gonna chop this up, and we will. I'll get this posted, and let's submit for code review. Let's actually do that. How do I do that? So I got my Git Kraken tool here, and I am going to submit TSTrophy for code review. Now, my workflow could probably use a little bit improvement. I have my normal directory that I build and function out of all day. Then I also keep just a baseline very vanilla, and I keep another very vanilla live build as well. But so for very vanilla, I would actually need to copy my stuff over. So I'm going to go to my working directory, and I'm actually going to grab the file. Be live. So I'm going to go into TSTrophy. I'm going to copy this out. Copy 1218 1158. That's right now. I'm going to go into my other directory. Project, no. Yeah, we'll go RedGuides, very vanilla. I'm gonna go down to TSTrophy. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me drag that over. I am going to, whatever that is. I am going to right-click on master. This is the current master, very vanilla. I am going to create a branch. I am going to call this MQ2TSTrophy rewrite. Okay, so I'm making a new branch called MQ2TSTrophy rewrite. So I am set on MQ2TSTrophy rewrite, and I am going to go back in here. If you remember, I already copied the file. I'm going to slap this into my TSTrophy folder. And it already has one because I'm replacing it. Boom. Now when I do that, you'll see here I have a work in progress. It shows for TSTrophy, and it's going to have this huge diff. Huge diff. So the diff is anything that was changed. So red is out, green is in. And this Git Kraken tool just makes my life easier submitting stuff and looking at diffs. And I look at diff when I submit something. It gives me an extra set of eyeballs on what I'm looking at to see if I screwed something up. And I'll show you how I do this here. So we're gonna go to commit message MQ2TSTrophy rewrite. Okay, so we're going to say we updated to version 3.1. We removed globals, many globals, rewrote functions, major rewrite to remove passing around contents, content pointers. We now just check if item and need to equip it and then equip it. Okay, so those are just baseline notes that I wanted to make before I started going through this thing. Okay, so we're gonna go through each one and we're gonna stage the hunk. So each section like this, where it shows like the red and the green, is a hunk. Now you can do the thing where you stage the whole file, but I want to go through hunk first, piece by piece, so I can just compare what I put. So it now says this plugin will see if you have a trophy that matches the environmental container you have open. If it is not equipped, it will equip it. It does not swap back to anything. Okay, I like that. Easy. And actually, the hunk was way more than the hunk. So let's go through the rest of this, make sure it's cool. And you can select like unstage specific lines, and in the actual here you can like stage just a specific line too if you wanted to. But let's go through the rest of this. For some reason, I thought that the hunk would have been here, but it's whatever. Okay, so 3.1, change it. We did the constant plugin name. Okay, cool. We changed a bunch of these functions. Functions are good. We got rid of these globals, global out, global out, global out. We changed container name to 32. None of the container names that I'm aware of are larger than 32, so we're gonna leave that. We're gonna lower that to 32. That might be something that we wanna put as 64, just in case if there ever is like 6 ultimate cool guy brew barrel 69 420 edgelord guy, no Highlander invited. I believe most of the stuff in the game is 64 for size of names, but I couldn't find anything larger than like that 32 wouldn't be enough, so we're gonna leave that. I have the note in here about the to-do that I want to update that with the enumerated list. And again, I didn't want to include that enumerated list in this because it's outside of the scope of the actual thing. I just need those bits, and I don't want to just make a list that's like those 4 items. So we'll just hard code those now with a note to do for later. I removed some of the equals 1, 2, 3 in the notes that I had mentioned earlier. The type members, that is all gravy. We like that. This stuff here, this is all the type member changes. I've already looked at all of this. I'm just gonna give, you know, a pattern, like a pattern look. You can kind of see everything. All of these should pretty much have the same pattern, and if they have the same pattern, then the stuff in it is hopefully changed. Blacksmithing tailor, poising, fishing tailor. Those all match. And we broke and return false here. We're gonna stage that hunk. Boom. On incoming chat, we know we removed that. I put lines in between these sections just for readability, and activated plugin on. We actually removed the plugin on function, so that's good that it's removed. We'll stage that. Container found. Here was my old note. We're updating trophies anytime we open a container in case someone puts their trophy in the bank or delete it or change it between last time. It's understood it might not be the best fix, but it's a good short-term solution. So this is me coming back and changing that short-term solution. And update trophies was removed, so that's out. Alchemy table, ammo, blah, 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 was changed to, if it's alchemy, type alchemy. All these should be pretty much the same. I do want to make sure that I have all of the container names. But it should be pretty straight. Brew barrel is just brew and barrel. Fletching table. Some of them have multiples, like up here, mixing bowl, oven, ice cream. But I've already gone through this, so I'm pretty confident. But double checking on stuff, especially things that you are confident about, because nobody's perfect, and especially when you've been looking at something for 12 hours, like I said I was yesterday. We removed this in here, and I mentioned that earlier. And we have our type check, and our brackets are a little bit different. So we're good with that stuff. We removed some of the stuff from onZoned. Actually, those are the lines, so this is actually in here now instead of up there. Removed the plugin on stuff because we don't need to update trophies or say that we activated. Update trophies is completely removed, and all that stuff is gone. Replaced with that map. And then else if step is greater than 1, iStep equals 1, and this is the end of that function. Happy with that. OnZoned is just if not in game return, and iStep equals 1 after that. So that is that hunk. I wish you had a little bit more granular control of what constitutes a hunk and what does not constitute a hunk. I feel like if it's not in the same function, it should think that it's a different. All right, so if B matches equals false, that's just, we remove that. Swap slot contents, that got completely replaced to the equipped trophy. This got cleaned up here. That was a 256 buffer, this is 128. Basically, the item could be up to 64, and the longest one of these is like 58 or something, so the 128 is more than enough we need. And we changed this, the TSTrophy thing here, to the plugin name right here, boom, plugin name, boom, that we don't have to retype that stuff. And then is the trophy equipped? That's out, boom, boom, boom. So we can stage that hunk. Then let's see, find out on current slot, inline bool in game. So I just added a space there. This looks weird because of where stuff is at as far as actual lines go. This is why sometimes diff can be challenging. Sometimes you want to look at maybe an inline view, or maybe a split view. You can see what the line was before, what the line was afterwards. I do prefer the hunk view most of the time. And this is a good example of why, if you are doing something where you're reorganizing and changing stuff, you want to reorganize first, submit that so it's reorganized, and then do the changes just so it's easier to read for the diff. I wasn't really sure what I was going to change and move and stuff until I got in it, so I didn't do that. So hopefully that's not too shitty for a review. Anyway, so we have this map. We're happy with the map. We're happy with the in-game. I just added that extra space. We got rid of the find slot current. And then we have the trophy check down the bottom. We have it after the map, so we don't have to prototype it, and we're happy with that. Stage file. So removed many globals, major rewrite to move passing around content pointers. We will now check if we have an item and use and equip it. These items are stored in a map. Any behavior changes I should probably document in here. Actually, I will do that at the front. Let's do that. It's version 3.1. And that should probably be 3.0, but I'm just gonna leave it at 1. Don't hate me nightly. We're going to say we will no longer swap a trophy into ammo if you already have it equipped in another slot. So we want to document any actual behavioral changes, specifically because if we don't say that, then it might get missed, and the behavior is different, right? So you need to let people know, particularly users. When Redbot goes and does update notes, he's going to see here like we will no longer swap a trophy and ammo. So this is behavior, and then a bunch of this stuff is like under the hood kind of shit. But so I'm going to commit that. I'm going to push that to the MSTS whatever branch. I'm going to grab this, drag, and I'm going to start a pull request. It's going to auto-populate it. It's going to, from the branch TSTrophy to master branch, and it has all the stuff I put in. Create pull request. And that is it. And that's now pushed to Git. And there's merge request. So anyway, I'm going to chip chop this up, and I will talk to you guys soon.